AITA for telling my wife her parents are not allowed to ever watch our son again? I am not op. Original post by you, no baptisma hole in R, Amethyst hole. And NBSP. AITA for telling my wife her parents are not allowed to ever watch our son again. The 23rd of September, 2020. My wife and I have a 2-year-old son and have been married for 4 years. Our anniversary was a month ago and we found a nice, secluded cabin on Airbnb and rented it out for a long weekend getaway. My wife asked her parents if they would be willing to watch our son and they agreed as long as we dropped him off at their house. That worked for us since it was on our way anyway. I was raised Lutheran and my wife was raised Catholic. But neither of us currently go to church and have not had our son baptized. My Mill knows this and hates it. She thinks our son needs to be baptized or he will burn in hell. She's that kind of Catholic. So we go on our trip and when we pick up our son and ask how the weekend went, Mill says everything went fine and that she has saved my son's soul from the devil. I ask her what she meant and she says she had our son baptized that morning at her church. I tried my best to keep my cool so I didn't scream at Mill in front of my son. But I pretty much grabbed my son and left. On the car ride home I was fuming and told my wife as calmly as I could that this would be the last time her parents have our son unsupervised. She tried to downplay what her mom had done but I told her we need to wait until we get home to talk about it because I'm not fighting in front of my kid. When we got home and had a chance to talk about it, things got heated. I told my wife I no longer trust her parents with our son and that if they did something like this behind our backs I can't trust them to respect our wishes as parents in the future. I said this was a huge breach of trust and I will forever look at her mom differently. She continued to try to defend her mom, saying that she was only doing what she thought was best for her grandson. She even downplayed it by saying that it's just a little water and a few words and we don't go to church anyway, so what does it matter? I told her that under no circumstances will I allow her parents to watch our son by themselves again. I said that we can still let them see their grandson, but only if we are present. I also said that if she doesn't see what the big deal is with this situation, that maybe we aren't on the same page as parents and maybe we need to see a counselor. She started crying and said that this isn't the kind of decision I get to make on my own and I'm an asshole for trying to tell her what kind of relationship her parents can have with our son. I told her that I no longer have any trust or respect for her parents and that I don't know if there's anything they can do to repair that. I told her I don't care if that makes me an asshole. But what her parents did was unforgivable in my eyes and they put themselves in this position to lose privileges with our son. She's been trying to convince me to change my mind for the last month. But I'm not budging. To me this is a hill I'm willing to die on. Verdict. NTA. And NBSP. Update AITA for telling my wife her parents are not allowed to watch our son ever again. 12 October 2020. First off, I want to thank everyone who sent me supportive messages and advice. I never expected my post to get so much attention. Since many of you requested an update, here we go. Turns out some of you were right. My wife was in on it. I confronted her a couple days after I posted and directly asked her if she knew that her parents planned this. She broke down and confessed everything to me. Mill had been pestering her about baptizing our son non-stop and my wife finally caved. My wife has been working from home during COVID while my job requires me to go into the office. My wife and Mill started doing Zoom meetings with MIL's priest to start the baptism process. They lied to the priest and told him that I was okay with baptizing our son but didn't want to be involved. The priest allowed it and they started doing online baptism classes while I was at work. My wife admitted that she planned it around our anniversary getaway and that Mill had somehow convinced the priest that her and Phil would be the only ones in attendance. My wife told me that I wasn't supposed to find out. But Mill couldn't keep her mouth shut for even one day about it. Their intention was to keep this from me permanently. I did contact the church to let them know the truth. I talked with the priest and he was surprisingly helpful. He said he would take the proper steps to make sure Mill is no longer welcome in their church and to reach out to the local parish to see what further steps need to be taken. I have yet to hear back from them on that. My wife and Mill are mad that I got her kicked out of her church. But I don't care what they think or feel anymore. These people who I love and trust had betrayed me and I felt a range of emotions I didn't know existed. My wife begged for forgiveness. But the fact that she didn't come clean on her own makes me feel she would have kept this from me. Unless I confronted her. She's willing to do therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. I don't know if I want to put in that work. I feel like there's no coming back from this. I contacted a divorce lawyer and started discussing what a divorce would look like and if there is any way I can add provisions to a divorce agreement that would keep my in-laws from seeing my son unsupervised. He's been very helpful, but I have not given him the go-ahead to actually file for divorce yet. I feel I am still too angry about the entire thing to think rationally and want to give myself time to fully grasp what a divorce will mean for me and my family. My wife and I aren't talking much. I pretty much go to work, come home to play with my son, go to bed, and repeat. I don't know what the future is going to bring. But I do know that without the support and help from people here, I don't think I would have the clarity I do now. And NBSP. Reminder, I am not the original poster. It's funny how the wife cried and begged, told him he can't make a unilateral decision and refused counseling. Then to find out she herself made a unilateral decision, tried to cover it up, then cried and begged for counseling. Sucks when the shoe is on the other foot, I guess. How could OOP's Mill not realize it was a bad idea when she had to lie to the priest? I'll never understand being so devout you sin in service of your faith. My first thought once the wife starting downplaying it was, yeah, so she's in on it to appease mommy. She started crying and said that this isn't the kind of decision I get to make on my own. But it was the kind of decision that she got to make on her own. Classic case of rules for thee but not for me. Did this guy make a few posts on the JNMIL sub? I feel like I read this and even more over there. The wife was asked to make a choice between her husband and her parents and chose her parents. Rather inevitably, the sacrifice that was made was her marriage. Doing stuff like pre-baptism work takes weeks. This quite obviously wasn't a sudden one-off lie either. I wonder what ended up happening. The audacity of them blaming OOP for getting kicked out the church after lying to a priest? OMG. I was raised Catholic and dang. Lying to our priest is pretty much the worst of the worst. Mill obviously never went to confession. An old friend is an atheist. Her sister converted to Latter-day Saints church. Friend says she's pretty sure sister will have her baptized into LDS after death. Because that's a thing. Religion gets so strange. This marriage isn't lasting if wife lets her mom do whatever with the kid. Wow, I am frustrated reading this. This guy has plenty to be mad about. But he is going to get a really big shocker when he finds out after the divorce he has no control over what his ex-wife allows her parents to do with their children, so long as it doesn't include anything that authorities would see as child abuse. This is 100% divorce worthy. It's a huge, huge breach of trust. From the title I knew it would either be circumcision or baptism, so wrong either way. And for the wife to be in on it, wow. I don't think kids should be forced to be baptized. They should choose it for themselves when they are old enough to understand the religious duty and whatnot. This was the plot of an episode of All in the Family in the 70s. Blah. Why do people feel like they can do this sort of thing? The level of disrespect is shocking to me. My ex had a daughters baptized behind my back even though our custody order forbids it. Op is doing the right thing by getting his mill kicked out of the church and divorce his wife. They can't be trusted. On its face, the sprinkling of some water is no big deal, but the fact that they all acted behind the dad's back to make a decision for what's good for his son without consulting, then flat out deceived him is major red flag. I think he's smart to talk to a divorce attorney. This is a huge misalignment of values. He certainly knows he can't just ban his in-laws from seeing his kid unsupervised over this. Right? Getting a divorce is guaranteeing they'll have access to his kid when he's not around. Religious folks are so weird. A baptism only means something if you choose to believe that it has meaning. Otherwise, it is just a little water. Same with any other religious practice. If you don't believe in the significance of a hijab, then it is just a piece of cloth. If you don't believe in communion, then it is just a mid-service snack break. The only issue here is the breach of trust. I don't understand all of the focus on religion while the actual issue is the breach of trust.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.